There comes a moment in every human life when the mirror no longer reflects who you are. It reflects who you have become for others. You look at yourself, and you realize that every decision, every word, every silence has been shaped by invisible hands. Expectations, fear, acceptance, belonging. You were born free, yet you live as a prisoner of your own reflection. Nietzsche once whispered a truth that most people are too afraid to hear. Become who you are. But he never said that it would be easy, because to become who you truly are means to destroy who you were told to be. It means to kill the false version of yourself, the one that smiles to please, that hides to survive, that bows to be loved. The path to authenticity is not made of light. It is carved in the shadows of self-confrontation. You will have to tear down every illusion that ever comforted you. You will have to admit that most of your desires were borrowed, your values inherited, your dreams programmed. And when you start peeling back the layers, you will see what Nietzsche saw, that freedom is not granted, it is earned through pain. Becoming yourself is not about finding peace. It is about entering chaos and learning to dance with it. Because your true self is not calm, polite, or predictable. It is wild, irrational, powerful, and dangerous. It does not fit into the fragile boxes that society builds for safety. It does not care about being liked. It only cares about being real. But here lies the tragedy. Most people never meet their real selves. They die as characters in someone else's story. They play roles assigned to them by culture, family, religion, morality. They live in imitation because it feels safer than creation. And Nietzsche saw through this safety. He called it the morality of the herd. A way for the weak to feel righteous by following rules they never questioned. The herd lives for comfort. It worships mediocrity and calls it virtue. It fears those who walk alone. It mocks those who rise above it. Because when someone dares to live by their own law, it reminds the herd of its cowardice. To become who you truly are means to walk alone into the wilderness of your own soul. It means to stop seeking approval from those who are afraid of their own strength. It means to accept that you will be misunderstood, hated, rejected, maybe even broken. Because transformation always demands a sacrifice, and the sacrifice is your old self. When Nietzsche spoke of becoming, he spoke of a transformation that burns. You must melt down everything false within you, like metal in fire, until only the essence remains. That is the price. The pain of watching parts of you die. And it will hurt. Because those parts were your comfort, your identity, your belonging. You will try to hold on, to bargain with the truth, to rebuild what the fire destroyed. But truth does not negotiate. It demands surrender. People say they want to be free, but freedom is terrifying. Freedom means there is no one left to blame, no one left to follow, no one left to save you. You become the author of your own suffering, the architect of your own meaning. And that is the burden of the strong. Nietzsche called this the path of the Übermensch. Not a superhuman, but a human who has overcome. One who has transcended the noise of the crowd, who no longer lives by borrowed truths. He does not need permission to exist. He creates his own law, his own morality, his own purpose. But you must understand, this path isolates you. You cannot awaken and remain comfortable. You cannot see truth and stay the same. The more you evolve, the lonelier you become, because few have the courage to face the abyss within themselves. And yet, the loneliness is not punishment. It is purification. It strips away the noise until only silence remains, and in that silence you begin to hear something real. Your own voice, trembling but alive. That is where becoming begins. There is a strange kind of agony that comes when you start to outgrow your old self. It feels like shedding skin that still bleeds when torn. The people around you will notice it first. They will say you have changed, and they will not mean it as a compliment. They will feel threatened, not because you have harmed them, but because your transformation exposes their stagnation. They will remind you of who you used to be, the obedient, agreeable version of you. They will call you selfish for choosing your own path, arrogant for thinking differently, lost for walking away from their certainty. But this is the inevitable price of authenticity. The loneliness that comes when your inner world no longer fits the outer one. Most people never go beyond imitation. They are taught what to think, how to feel, what to desire. They are not raised to create themselves. They are raised to conform. And when you break from that mold, you become a mirror that reflects what others fear to see: their unrealized potential, their abandoned dreams, their quiet surrender to comfort. Nietzsche understood this better than anyone. He saw that the process of becoming is not about peace, it is about conflict. The old self must die for the new one to emerge. Every evolution demands destruction. You cannot reach your higher self without betraying the lower one. This is why most people live their lives pretending, because pretending costs less than becoming. Pretending gives you belonging, safety, acceptance. Becoming gives you truth, but truth isolates. Pretending gives you smiles, becoming gives you silence. And most would rather be loved for a lie than hated for the truth. But the truth is a storm. It shakes, it breaks, it purifies. Nietzsche saw that pain is not the enemy, it is the path. To suffer deeply is to grow deeply. Every wound carves space for strength. Every fall reveals what still needs to die within you. The world tells you to chase happiness. Nietzsche tells you to chase greatness. And greatness does not come without suffering. Because the self you seek to become is not born in comfort. It is forged in fire. It is created through struggle, failure, and relentless honesty. You will lose people. You will lose illusions. You will lose everything that does not belong to your truth. And that loss will feel like death, because it is. The death of who you were. The death of who they thought you were. But beneath that death lies something sacred. Rebirth. There is a kind of beauty in ruin, if you learn to see it. When the false self crumbles, when everything you clung to disintegrates, you begin to glimpse what you truly are. Raw, unpolished, unfinished, but alive. That is the moment you meet your real strength. Not the strength that looks powerful, but the one that survives collapse. Nietzsche believed that one must have chaos within to give birth to a dancing star. That chaos is not your enemy, it is your potential, unshaped and untamed. You are not meant to suppress it, but to master it. You are not here to be peaceful, you are here to be powerful, in the deepest sense of the word. Power is not domination, it is not control over others. It is control over yourself. The power to remain grounded while everything falls apart. The power to choose meaning in the face of despair. The power to rebuild when the old world burns. That is the strength of becoming. But beware, once you start becoming, there is no way back. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you taste freedom, obedience becomes poison. You will look at the world and see how people live half alive, repeating empty words, chasing hollow pleasures, and you will feel both compassion and disgust. Compassion because they do not know better. Disgust because you once were one of them. And you will realize that growth isolates, not because you are better, but because you are different. You have stepped outside the shared dream. You are no longer hypnotized by the comfort of belonging. And that distance, that painful distance, is where your individuality begins to breathe. It is in that solitude that you begin to hear your calling. Not a voice from above, but from within. It tells you what you must create, what you must destroy, what you must become. It is not gentle. It is not kind. It is truth speaking in its purest form, and it will demand everything from you. This is why Nietzsche said, "You must become the person you are, by doing what only you can do." The task of becoming is not to find your place in the world, but to build a world that fits who you are becoming. And that takes courage, the courage to disappoint others, to defy expectations, to endure the silence of isolation and still move forward. Because if you stop halfway, if you cling to comfort after awakening, the pain becomes unbearable. The fire of truth will burn inside you, reminding you of what you could have been. That is the punishment for abandoning your becoming, a life that feels alive only in regret. So you must keep walking. You must keep breaking. You must keep burning. Because every scar will become your story, every fall your foundation. The journey does not end when you find yourself. It ends when you lose the need to be found. There is a silence that comes after the storm, a quietness that feels almost unnatural. You have burned through illusion. You have watched your false selves crumble, and now there is nothing left but the ashes of who you were. Most people fear this emptiness. They mistake it for loss. But it is not loss. It is space. It is the beginning of becoming. When Nietzsche spoke of becoming who you truly are, he did not mean self-discovery as comfort. He meant self-creation as war. You are not meant to find yourself like a forgotten object buried beneath the years. You are meant to forge yourself, to choose who you will be, again and again, until the soul hardens into something indestructible. And that is the final price. To realize that there is no final version of you. You are always becoming, always transforming, always at war with your own limits. The moment you think you have arrived, you begin to decay, because to live, truly live, is to remain in motion, to be a constant becoming. The world around you does not reward this kind of transformation. It rewards obedience, predictability, conformity. It gives comfort to those who fit in and silence to those who rise above. It wants you to believe that the purpose of life is stability. But stability is death wearing a smile. It is the end of growth disguised as peace. The truth is, becoming yourself will destroy your old life. You will wake up one day and realize that the things you once valued no longer matter. The people you once sought approval from no longer see you. The dreams you once chased now feel small. You will walk through the ruins of your old existence and feel both grief and liberation. Because part of you died there. The part that lived for others. Nietzsche understood that suffering is not meaningless. It is the raw material of transformation. Every pain, every failure, every heartbreak is a sculptor's tool shaping you into something greater. But you must allow it to do its work. Do not numb it. Do not run from it. Let it carve you open until the old layers fall away. When you stop resisting the pain of growth, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see that pain itself is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It shows you what you still cling to. It exposes your attachments, your illusions, your fears. It reminds you of the price you must pay to become real. And when you accept that price, when you stop pretending that life should be easy, you begin to feel something that most people never experience. Power. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that endures. The kind that walks through fire without needing to be saved. The kind that smiles at chaos and says, "Do your worst." That is the power of becoming, but it does not make you invincible. It makes you aware. You will still feel pain, still face fear, still walk through darkness, but you will no longer be destroyed by it. You will use it. You will shape it into strength, into clarity, into art. Because once you have faced the deepest parts of yourself, there is nothing left in the world that can truly frighten you. This is what Nietzsche meant by the idea of self-overcoming, the ability to rise above yourself again and again. You outgrow your own victories. You surpass your own limits. You become the sculptor and the sculpture, the destroyer and the creation. And through this endless cycle of death and rebirth, you come closer to your truth, not as a fixed identity, but as a living force. Most people look for meaning as if it is hidden somewhere outside of them. But Nietzsche saw that meaning is created, not discovered. You give meaning to your suffering. You give purpose to your pain. You do not wait for the world to define you. You define yourself in spite of it. And that is why becoming who you truly are is not a destination. It is a rebellion. It is a rejection of comfort, a refusal to settle, a declaration that you will not die as a copy. It is the courage to say, "I will not live by borrowed truths. I will create my own." But there is a warning Nietzsche leaves for those who walk this path: the danger of pride. When you begin to awaken, when you see through illusion, it is easy to believe that you are superior. But the moment you believe you have conquered the world, you have fallen into a new illusion, the illusion of completion. True strength is humble. It knows that the process never ends. It understands that becoming is infinite, that the mountain has no top. You do not reach perfection, you become worthy of your imperfections. You do not escape the human condition, you learn to carry it with grace. And somewhere in this endless struggle, you begin to see beauty in the chaos. You begin to love the process itself, the failures, the doubts, the transformations. You begin to realize that you were never meant to find peace outside yourself, because the peace you seek is forged within, through the acceptance of your own becoming. You will no longer need to be understood. You will no longer crave validation. You will walk through life knowing that every scar tells a story, every mistake hides a lesson. Every fall is an initiation into strength. And that realization is freedom, not the freedom from suffering, but the freedom to create meaning within it. The world will keep spinning. The herd will keep moving in circles, chasing shadows of happiness. But you will walk your own path, quiet, steady, unshaken, because you will know what most people never learn, that the price of becoming who you truly are is everything you once thought you were. And when you finally stand there, stripped of illusion, naked before yourself, you will not feel empty. You will feel alive, because for the first time, you will not be pretending. You will not be performing. You will simply be. That is the reward for those who dare to pay the price. The world will not applaud you. It will not understand you. But the few who see you, truly see you, will feel it in their bones. They will recognize the quiet fire in your eyes, the calm strength in your voice, the unshakable truth in your presence. They will know that you have faced yourself and survived. And that is all that matters. Because the greatest victory is not over the world. It is over your own fear. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Friedrich Nietzsche. If this made you think deeply, make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe for more.